The alarm rang through the metal halls of Kepler 442 detention facility. Guard Captain Vex stood at the control room window, looking down at the exercise yard. His 4 eyes watched the prisoners below with careful attention. "Sir," said the young guard beside him. "The humans are walking again." Vex nodded slowly. His green skin turned a darker shade, a sign of worry among his people. "Yes, I see them." Below, 4 humans walked in a circle around the yard. They moved at the same speed, keeping the same distance from each other. To most guards, it looked normal, but Vex knew better. "Tell me, Guard Thex," Vex said to the young officer. "Why do we keep the humans in the red zone?" Thex looked confused. The red zone was for the most dangerous prisoners. "Because they are violent, sir?" "No." Vex shook his head. "The Ursoid in cell block C can break steel with his bare hands. The Vorthak crystals can think faster than our computers. The ethereal gas beings can read minds. But we do not fear them like we fear the humans." "Then why, sir?" Vex pointed at the 4 humans below. "Because they change everything they touch." The 4 humans were still walking. The first was a tall woman with short black hair. Her name was Jihan Kim. She had been a leader in something called the Earth Defense Force. Her file said she killed 50 enemy soldiers in one battle, but that was not why she scared the guards. "See how she moves?" Vex asked. "She is not just walking. She is counting steps, measuring distances, learning." The second human was smaller, with gentle eyes behind broken glasses. Hanna Park had built the first human ships that could travel between stars. Her crime was using those same ships to fight the Galactic Council. She walked while looking at the walls and ceiling. "That one," Vex said. "She built the engines that brought humans to our galaxy. Now she studies our prison like it is a machine she wants to fix." The third human was young and moved like a fighter. Do-Hyun Lee was only 22 years old, but he had fought in 3 wars. The guards called him the Angry One, but Vex saw something else. The boy's eyes were always watching, always learning from the older humans. The last human was the one that worried Vex the most. Mira Choi had been a diplomat before the war. She spoke the languages of 12 different alien races. She could make friends with anyone. Even here in the most secure prison in the galaxy, other prisoners liked her. "Sir," Vex said, "I still do not understand. They are just 4 humans. We have walls that can stop plasma bullets. We have guards from 7 different worlds. We have systems that can track a single atom. How can 4 small humans be dangerous?" Vex was quiet for a long moment. He remembered his first day at this prison, 5 years ago. The old guard captain had told him the same thing his father told him, and his father's father before that. "Humans," Vex said slowly, "do not just escape from prisons. They convince the prison that it wants to let them go." Before Vex could ask what that meant, another alarm sounded. This one was different. It meant someone important was coming. "Attention all guards," a voice said over the speakers. "Commander Vexthul has arrived for facility inspection." Vex felt his skin turn even darker. Commander Vexthul was known throughout the galaxy. He was the one they called when prisoners were too dangerous to keep anywhere else. His ships had special cells that could hold anything, or anyone. An hour later, Vex stood in the main office with Commander Vexthul. The commander was tall and thin, with silver skin that looked like metal. His voice was cold and sharp. "Guard Captain," the commander said, "I have read the reports about your human prisoners. They have been here for 2 years with no escape attempts." "Yes, sir," Vex said. "We watch them very carefully." Too carefully, perhaps. The commander walked to the window that looked down at the prison cells. "The Galactic Council is worried. These humans are too quiet, too calm. It is not natural." Vex felt a chill in his blood. "What are your orders, sir?" "In 72 hours, I will take the humans to a new facility, a place where they can cause no more trouble." "Where, sir?" The commander's smile was cold. "A research station near the galactic core. Black hole GC7. Nothing escapes from there, not even light." Vex knew what that meant. The research station near GC7 was not really a prison. It was a place where dangerous prisoners went to disappear forever. The humans would be studied until they died. "Sir," Vex said carefully, "perhaps that is not necessary. The humans have caused no problems here." "That is exactly the problem," the commander said. "Humans always cause problems. If they are not causing problems, they are planning something worse." After the commander left, Vex returned to the control room. The 4 humans were still in the exercise yard, but now they had stopped walking in circles. They stood together. In the center of the yard, talking quietly, Guard Thex came up beside him. "Sir, should we stop them from talking?" Vex watched the humans. Jihan was drawing something in the dirt with her finger. Hana was nodding and pointing at the walls. Do-hyun was looking around like a soldier checking for enemies. Mira was speaking in a language the computers could not understand. "No," Vex said. "Let them talk." "But sir, what if they are planning something?" Vex was quiet for a long time. In 72 hours, these 4 humans would be taken away to die. He had seen many prisoners die in his years as a guard. Most of them screamed and fought and begged. But something told him these humans would be different. "Guard Thex," he said finally. "In 3 days, we will learn why the galaxy fears humans so much." In the yard below, the 4 humans finished their meeting. They walked back to their cells without looking up at the guards. But Vex noticed something new in the way they moved. They walked like people who had made a decision. Vex touched the alarm button on his belt, not to press it, but just to make sure it was there. Somehow, he had a feeling he would need it soon. The most dangerous wing of the most secure prison in the galaxy had just become much more dangerous. And the countdown had begun. The next morning came too quickly. Jihan Kim sat on her metal bed and counted the hours in her head. 68 hours until Commander Vex Thul returned. 68 hours to do the impossible. She heard a soft tapping on the wall. 3 short taps, 2 long ones, 3 short again. It was Hana in the next cell, using the old Earth code they had learned as children. The message was simple. "Ready." Jihan tapped back. "Begin." During breakfast, the 4 humans sat at their usual table. The other prisoners stayed away from them, as always. But today was different. Today, the humans were not alone. At the table next to them sat a creature that looked like a walking pile of blue crystals. His name was Kriso, and he was a Vorthak. His people were famous for being smart, but not for being friendly. Kriso had been in prison for 3 years. His crime was stealing money from a big company. He spent all his time alone, thinking and calculating. Mira picked up her food tray and moved to sit near Kriso. The guards watched but did nothing. Sitting near someone was not against the rules. "Hello?" Mira said quietly in the Vorthak language. Her voice was warm and kind. Kriso's crystal body flashed with surprise. No one had spoken to him in his own language for 3 years. You speak my words?" "A little," Mira said. "I learned from the computer files. Your language is beautiful, like music made of math." Kriso had never heard his language described that way. Among his people, feelings were not important. Only logic mattered. But this human made logic sound like poetry. "Why do you speak to me?" Kriso asked. "Because you look lonely," Mira said. "And because in 68 hours I will be dead. I wanted to make a friend before that happens." Across the room, Do-hyun was walking toward a different table. There sat the biggest prisoner in the facility. His name was Baros, and he was an ursoid, a bear-like creature from the forest worlds. Baros was 3 meters tall and covered in thick brown fur. His arms were as big as tree trunks. Most prisoners feared Baros. His file said he had destroyed an entire city block during his arrest. But Do-hyun was not afraid. He had learned something important from watching Baros for 2 years. The big creature never hurt anyone in the prison. He just sat alone and looked sad. "Mind if I sit here?" Do-hyun asked in simple Galactic common. Baros looked down at the small human. His voice was deep like thunder. "Why? You want to laugh at the monster?" "No," Do-hyun said, sitting down. I want to sit with someone who knows what it feels like to be blamed for things that were not your fault. Barros's big eyes widened. No one had ever said anything like that to him. Meanwhile, Hannah was working in the prison's power plant. It was her job to fix broken machines. The guards thought this was safe because the machines were locked down with security codes. They did not know that Hannah could read the codes by watching how the machines worked. Today, she was not alone in the power plant. 3 strange creatures floated near the ceiling. They looked like glowing clouds of gas with tiny lights inside. These were ethereals, beings made of pure energy. They could read thoughts, but they rarely talked to anyone. "You are planning something," one of the ethereals said. Its voice sounded like wind through leaves. "Yes," Hannah said simply. She did not try to hide her thoughts. "We are going to escape." "Escape is impossible," another ethereal said. "We have tried for 7 years. The barriers are too strong." "You tried to escape by yourself," Hannah said, touching a power cable. "We will escape together." "Together?" The third ethereal sounded confused. "But you are solid beings. We are energy. We cannot work together." Hannah smiled. "Watch and learn." She began to work on the power system, but not to break it. Instead, she was learning how it worked. The ethereals watched as she traced every wire and studied every circuit. Slowly, they began to understand what she was really doing. "You are not trying to destroy the power," the first ethereal said with wonder. "You are trying to control it." "That's right," Hannah said. "And energy beings like you could help us do things that solid beings cannot." For the first time in years, the ethereals felt something they had forgotten. Hope. In the control room, Captain Vex was starting to worry. He watched the security screens with growing unease. Something was different about the prison today, but he could not put his finger on what it was. "Sir," said Guard Thex, "the humans are acting strange." "How so?" "They are talking to other prisoners. The Vorthak crystal, the big Ursoid, even the ethereals. No one talks to the ethereals." Vex zoomed in on different cameras. He saw Mira and Kriso sitting together sharing their food. He saw Doyen and Barros talking quietly, while Barros showed the human how to carve small shapes from soap. He saw Hannah working alongside the floating gas creatures. "This is not right," Vex said. "Humans do not make friends with other species. The files say they are too aggressive, too selfish." "Maybe the files are wrong," Vex suggested. Vex was quiet for a long time. In all his years as a guard, he had never seen anything like this. Different species did not become friends. It went against everything the Galactic Council taught about how the universe worked. "Double the guards on the human wing," Vex ordered, "and start recording everything they say." But when the guards tried to listen to the conversations, they found something strange. The humans and their new friends were not speaking in any language the computers could understand. They were using hand signals, drawings in the dirt, and even simple touches to communicate. Jihan had taught them a new way to talk that the guards could not translate. It was a mix of old Earth military codes, Vorthak mathematics, Ursoid forest signs, and ethereal energy patterns. 4 different species were learning to speak as one. That night, after the lights went out, Jihan lay on her bed and listened to the sounds of the prison. But tonight, the sounds were different. Instead of the usual silence and fear, she heard something new. She heard the sound of hope spreading through the metal walls. In 60 hours, Commander Vexthul would return to take the humans away. But the humans were no longer just 4 people in a cage. They had become something the galaxy had never seen before. Teachers. And their first lesson was that no cage could hold the power of friendship. The countdown continued, but now it was not counting down to death. It was counting down to something that would change the galaxy forever. 24 hours remained. Guard Captain Vex stood in the control room watching the morning shift change. Something felt wrong. The prison was too quiet. Even the guards seemed nervous, though they did not know why. "Sir," Guard Thex said. "The humans asked for extra time in the exercise yard today." "Denied," Vex said quickly. "Keep them in their cells until Commander Vexthul arrives. But at exactly noon, All the alarms in the prison started ringing at once. "Report!" Vex shouted. "Fight!" In the cafeteria. A guard yelled over the radio. "The young human started it!" Vex ran to the cafeteria screens. He saw Do-Hyun Lee standing on a table, shouting at Barros the Ursoid. The big bear creature was roaring back. Other prisoners were gathering around them, yelling and pointing. "Send security teams now," Vex ordered. But as the guards rushed toward the cafeteria, something strange happened. The fight was not a fight at all. Do-Hyun and Barros were moving in a pattern like a dance. Their shouts were not angry words, but signals. The other prisoners began to move too. Each species did something different, but they all moved at the same time. The Vorthak crystals like Chryso began to flash with bright lights. The patterns were too fast for normal eyes to see, but they were sending messages to each other across the entire prison. The ethereals started to glow brighter. There, energy spread through the air vents and power cables, making the lights flicker throughout the facility. Other creatures joined in. Snake-like beings started hissing in rhythm. Rock creatures began to stomp their feet, making the floors shake. Flying prisoners spread their wings and created winds that blew papers and loose objects everywhere. "What is happening?" Vex demanded. I don't know, sir," Vex replied. "Every prisoner is doing something, but they're not fighting each other. They're all working together." In the power plant, Hana Park was not watching the show in the cafeteria. She was working faster than she had ever worked before. Her hands moved over the control panels like a musician playing a song. "Now," she whispered to the ethereals floating above her. The energy beings dove into the power systems. As creatures of pure electricity, they could go places that solid beings could not. They flowed through the wires like water, reaching every computer and security system in the prison. "Security lockdown initiated," the prison's computer voice announced. "All cell doors will remain sealed." But Hana smiled. The ethereals were not locking the doors to keep prisoners in. They were locking the guard stations to keep the guards out. In the cafeteria, Jihan Kim was not part of the riot either. While everyone watched Do-Hyun's performance, she slipped away through a maintenance door that Chryso had calculated would be unguarded for exactly 4 minutes. The corridors were empty. All the guards were dealing with the chaos in the main areas. Jihan moved quickly through passages that Hana had mapped for her. Every step was planned. She reached the communications room and found it empty. The guards had left to handle the emergency. Jihan sat down at the main console and began to type. Her fingers moved over the alien keyboard like she had used it her whole life. "This is Jihan Kim." She spoke into the prison's communication system. "Human prisoner 447. I am sending a message to all ships within 1 light year of this facility." In the control room, Vex heard the voice and felt his blood turn cold. "She's in communications," he shouted. "Stop her." But when the guards tried to reach the communications room, they found their way blocked. The maintenance robots had activated and were cleaning the hallways, moving slowly and blocking all the passages. Hana had reprogrammed them too. "My name is Jihan Kim," the voice continued over the speakers. "We are prisoners on Kepler 442 detention facility. We have committed no real crimes. We are here because we refuse to surrender our freedom to the Galactic Council." In his office, Commander Vex Thule heard the message and started moving toward his ship. This was exactly what he had feared. The humans were not just escaping. They were talking to the outside galaxy. "We are not asking for rescue," Jihan's voice said. "We are announcing our freedom. And we are proving that different species can work together when they choose friendship over fear." Back in the power plant, Hana's plan moved to the next step. Phase 2, she called to the ethereals. The energy beings spread throughout the stations, systems. Suddenly, every screen in the prison showed the same thing. Security camera footage of the guards' secret meetings, recordings of them talking about which prisoners to hurt, evidence of corruption and cruelty. "Now the galaxy will know the truth," Hana said. In the cafeteria, Do-Hyun's riot changed again. The prisoners stopped their performance and moved in organized groups. Each species knew exactly where to go and what to do. The Vorthak crystals used their computing power to solve the security codes on the hangar bay doors. The Ursoids used their strength to bend metal barriers. The Ethereals confused the automated defense systems by filling them with false signals. And through it all, the humans coordinated everything. They had turned a maximum security prison into a team of friends working toward the same goal. Impossible, Guard Captain Vex whispered as he watched the screens. Different species cannot cooperate like this. They hate each other. They compete. They fight. Not anymore, said Mira Choi. Vex spun around. Mira stood in the doorway of the control room, smiling. Behind her were Creso and two other aliens who had somehow gotten out of their cells. How? Vex asked. You made one mistake, Mira said gently. You thought we were the dangerous ones, but the real danger was keeping us locked up instead of letting us be free. The screens showed prisoners flooding toward the hangar bay, not running in panic but walking together like an organized group. Humans, crystals, gas beings, bear creatures, and dozens of other species, all moving as one. Stop them, Vex shouted into his radio, but the guards could not stop them. For every door they sealed, the Ethereals opened two more. For every barrier they raised, the Ursoids found a way around. For every security system they activated, the Vorthak found a way to turn it off. And the humans? The humans did something that no alien species expected. They made sure that every single prisoner who wanted to leave could leave safely. They counted heads and waited for the slow ones. They helped the injured and carried the weak. They treated everyone like family. In the hangar bay, dozens of maintenance ships waited, small vessels designed for repairs and cargo, but perfect for escape. Hana had already programmed their flight computers. Everyone ready? Jihan asked. Around her, representatives of 20 different species nodded. Species that had never trusted each other before now stood together, ready to fly toward freedom. Then let's go home, she said. As the ships launched into space, Commander Vexthol's battlecruiser arrived at the prison. He was too late. The most dangerous prisoners in the galaxy were free, and they had taught the universe a new way to live. 6 months after the escape from Kepler 442, the galaxy was a different place. Commander Vexthol stood before the Galactic Council, his silver skin darker than usual. The Great Hall was filled with representatives from hundreds of worlds, all demanding answers. Explain, said Council Leader Zephon, his voice echoing through the chamber, how 4 humans turned the most secure prison in the galaxy into a voluntary exodus. Vexthol's report was simple but shocking. They made friends, sir. The council members looked at each other in confusion. Making friends was not supposed to be dangerous. Impossible, said Counselor Thrace from the industrial worlds. Different species cannot work together for long. Biology prevents it. Psychology prevents it. Our entire civilization is built on this fact. Then explain this, Vexthol said, activating a holographic display. The image showed a small fleet of ships moving through space. They were the same maintenance vessels that had escaped from the prison, but now they looked different. They had been connected together with metal bridges and power cables, creating one large moving city. The escaped prisoners did not return to their homeworld, Vexthol continued. Instead, they created a mobile alliance. They call themselves the Free Fleet. The next image showed the inside of the connected ships. Creatures from dozens of different worlds were working side by side. Vorthak crystals were teaching young Ursoids how to use computers. Ethereals were sharing energy with machines built by humans. Species that had been enemies for centuries were living together in peace. This is... Counselor Thrace paused, searching for words. This should not be possible. It gets worse, Vexthol said. The display changed again. They are not just living together. They are spreading. The new images showed other prisons throughout the galaxy. In each one, the same thing was happening. Prisoners from different species were talking to each other, sharing food, working together. The guards could not stop it because the prisoners were not breaking any rules. They were just being friendly. How many facilities have been affected? Asked Council Leader Zephon. 47, Vexthol replied, and the number grows every day. In space, far from the council chambers, the Free Fleet continued its journey. Jihan Kim stood on the bridge of the main ship, looking out at the stars. Around her, beings from 20 different worlds worked together to keep their mobile home running. "Jihan," said Kriso, his crystal body flashing with blue light. "We are receiving another message." "From where?" Jihan asked. "Prison Station Delta 9. The guards are reporting unusual prisoner behavior. They want to know if we are somehow communicating with their prisoners." Jihan smiled. "We don't need to communicate with them. The idea spreads by itself." She was right. Across the galaxy, prisoners were discovering what the humans had taught their friends. That cooperation was stronger than competition. That friendship was more powerful than fear. "Any word from Earth?" asked Do-hyun, joining them on the bridge. Jihan's expression grew sad. "Still nothing. The communication blockade remains in place." This was the secret that the Galactic Council had tried to hide. The 4 humans were not criminals at all. They were prisoners of war. Earth had been discovered by the Council 3 years ago, and humanity had been given a choice: surrender and become a servant species, or fight and be destroyed. Earth had chosen to fight. The war had been short, but brutal. Earth's technology was primitive compared to the galaxy's weapons, but humans had something the Council did not expect. They refused to give up. Even when their cities were bombed and their fleets destroyed, they kept fighting. Finally, the Council had captured 4 human leaders and put them in prison as an example to the rest of humanity. Earth was cut off from galactic communication, isolated and alone. But the Council had made a mistake. They thought putting humans in prison would break their spirit. Instead, it had given them the chance to teach the galaxy a new way to live. "Hana," Jihan called to the engineer, "how long until we reach the neutral zone?" Hana looked up from her workstation. 2 days. "But Jihan, are you sure about this plan? If the Council finds us there?" "They won't stop us," Jihan said with confidence. "They can't. We're not breaking any laws." She was right. The Free Fleet was not attacking anyone or stealing anything. They were simply traveling through space, offering help to anyone who needed it. They fixed broken ships, shared medical supplies, and taught other species how to work together. Most importantly, they rescued prisoners. Every time they found a prison transport or a detention facility, they would send a simple message: "Anyone who wants to be free can join us. Anyone who wants to stay can stay. The choice is yours." Most prisoners chose freedom. 2 days later, the Free Fleet reached the edge of the neutral zone. This was a region of space that belonged to no government, where ships from all worlds could meet safely, but they were not alone. Hundreds of other ships were waiting for them. "Who are they?" asked Barros, the big Ursoid, as he looked out at the gathering fleet. "Friends," said Mira Choi, who had been listening to the radio communications. "Ships from 30 different worlds. Some are carrying freed prisoners from other facilities. Others are families coming to join the fleet. And some," she added with a smile, "are government officials who want to learn how we do what we do." As Jihan watched the growing fleet, she received a priority message on her personal communicator. The sender was unknown, but the message was clear. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. We received your broadcast 6 months ago. Earth is free. The Council withdrew after 17 of their member worlds demanded a peace treaty. We are coming to get you. Hold position." Jihan felt tears in her eyes. She had not cried since the day she was captured, but now the emotions came flooding back. "What is it?" asked Kriso, seeing her reaction. "We're going home," Jihan said. "All of us. We're all going home." Around her, beings from dozens of different worlds cheered and celebrated. They had learned something that the Galactic Council never understood. Home was not a place or a planet. Home was being with people who cared about you. In the Great Hall of the Galactic Council, emergency sessions continued day and night. Representatives argued about what to do about the Free Fleet and the spreading cooperation infection. But it was too late. The humans had already won. They had not conquered the galaxy with weapons or force. They had done something much more powerful. They had taught the galaxy that friendship was possible, and once that lesson was learned, it could never be forgotten. The most dangerous species in the galaxy had escaped from their prison, and they had taken the whole galaxy with them.